Good morning, Tammy. How are you? Just got to make sure everything's popping up on the computer. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Karen. Good morning, Kathy. Yay. Hi, Vesta. Congratulations, Vesta, on your cover photo of the group. Teresa, Nancy, and yay. I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay, so hi, Joanne. Hi, Peggy. So I have attempted to create my own 6x6 one sheet wonder template. And it was interesting trying to sit and I wanted to accomplish several things. I wanted to make the most out of the paper, but I couldn't do it without zero scraps. But they're tiny scraps, okay? Some of them could be used, you know, in your stash somewhere. But there was a whole process trying to learn that. And based on the inspiration that I found from a quilted handbag on Shabby Fabrics. So trying to stick with that design and create it with a 6x6 piece of paper, which I knew was going to take more than one because I wanted different patterns, right? So it turned out to be 4 sheets of 6x6 designer series paper. And then in drawing the design, I'm like, oh, I'm short a couple pieces that I need. So it ended up being a 6x6 one sheet wonder plus times 4. I don't even know how to even label this pattern because I actually needed a little bit more designer series paper than what I could get out of. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Janice. What I could get out of the paper. So that was the first learning curve. And then it's like drawing the template and creating text instructions that made sense. You all know that I am quite the overthinker. That doesn't help anything when you're an overthinker. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to anticipate every person on their level who would be reading the instructions. I do terrible with instructions. I can make a pattern, a sewing pattern, any pattern. I can make a recipe like it's like this great science because I read into everything too much. But if you show me how to do it, when I go back and read those, the text version of the directions, things will start to click for me. So I am hoping that by doing this demonstration, we're going to do the cutting together. If you had any questions before, I'm hoping that the visual will just make the directions fall into place for you, okay? Yesterday I went to my orthodontist and they put a new wire in my bottom braces and a chain and stuff. So if I slur my words or things like that, I've got more metal in the bottom part of my mouth than what I did before. So my speech kind of gets messed up a little bit. So if you're wondering, that's what's going on there. So I'm going to turn the camera around. Hi, Teresa. Who am I missing? Teresa. Let me just scroll down here on the computer. Where's my scroll button? There. Is that it? No? Why won't it let me scroll? Okay, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'll try to keep up on my camera for now. Hi, Lisa. So we're going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you a couple Valentines I got in the mail right after last Thursday's live. Hi, Susan. Hi, Paula. Michaeline, hello. Hi, Lori. For those of you that participate in the Barn Quilts Block of the Month card kit, those kits did mail out on the 15th, and yesterday I did email the PDF. Let me know if you didn't get the PDF. But be watching your mail for some colored envelopes, okay? So some happy mail. I also sent out the thank you packages for those who placed an order with me in the month of January. So I think that's all the updates I got to do. Let's turn this camera around and let's get started. Okay, there's that. Jean, if you're watching, do you recognize the honey? Jean and Tony, when they visited me last September. Okay, I got to change something here. There we go. Got the cutest and sweetest gifts from them. I got maple honey. I got maple syrup. And I got the honey. It was awesome. Okay. So, there's not much time left in celebration. I am going to be using the Celebration Designer Series paper called Daffodil Afternoon because I wanted to use up as much as I can. And so I'm using that, and then there's a stamp set in Celebration that I'm using. It's called Special Moments. I'm using some stamps from this set here. In case, you know, you're on the fence about some of the product and you see it being shown, maybe that gives you a better idea of what it actually looks like, okay? So, first things first, let's do some happy mail. This is from Deborah Gray. Sweet little ladybug Valentine with the quilted die there. So pretty. I have not played with my ladybugs yet. Something I got to get started on. But very, very cute Valentine's card. And then Teresa Hinchman sent me, Teresa, yours literally delivered within an hour after we did the live last Thursday. So this is an origami heart that Karen Titus had demonstrated. And look at how beautiful this paper is. This is the Heart and Home, from the Heart and Home collection in the mini catalog. This white grained wood is just gorgeous for your cards, and it lends with these colors so pretty. So that was her origami heart. Friends like you make life a joy. And then I love this little inside note. It says, I hope this card makes you smile. I didn't sign it, so enjoy it a while. Then pass the cheer to a friend you hold dear. Isn't that awesome? I've seen a different insert that you can put in with a blank card also, so that if you want to send it on to somebody else that you can. So that is pretty awesome. Thank you, Teresa, for sharing that. And thank you for the Valentine's card. So that was the happy mail. Okay, I don't think I have anything else. While I've got the camera down, this is the host code for February. If you don't have a demonstrator and you want to place an order, if you would use this code and choose me as your demonstrator, I would appreciate that. And I like to send little gifts after a month goes by, like for January. I sent out little thank you gifts for the orders in January. And I like to do that every month. If you have an order of $50 or more, then I like to send you something. So if you would use that host code, that helps me with those little thank you gifts. And here are 5 out of the 8 cards that you'll be able to make with your One Sheet Wonder Plus. If anybody can come up with a really cute title for this template, I would love to hear it. And if you wouldn't mind that I adopt it, I would love that too. So in this orientation, if you saw the picture of the inspiration, it was a handbag. And it had a pretty floral band at the top, and then it had strips and scraps of different fabrics in the bottom. So this orientation here is a lot like the inspiration that I took it from. And I wanted to be able to make a portrait. This is a portrait landscape and or portrait orientation and a landscape orientation card. So you have choices. And so this would be that one. Here's another one in portrait. And the fun thing about it is when you cut the 4 sheets of designer series paper, you're going to get 4 different tops to your design in both orientations. You're going to get 4 different tops, and then you can play around with flipping the paper over and creating your scrappy look at the bottom. Okay? And now these here are the landscape orientation. I goofed up on this one because I'm not a fan of my landscape cards opening like this. The reason why I'm not a fan is they don't want to stand up sometimes without spreading like that. So I goofed on this one, but it still works. But it's not my favorite way to cut my card base for this orientation. My favorite way is to cut it long ways, and this is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And so it opens like a book, and when it stands up, it doesn't splay out like the other one did. So this is my preferred way of cutting my card base for a landscape orientated card front. Now this here is in portrait. It's actually the other design, but if you take this design here and put it in portrait mode, then you have your strips going horizontally. Your band is vertical, but it gives you a whole nother look to your cards. You can make them so differently just by changing, you know, how you put it on your card base. So those were just some examples I wanted to show you. Let me check here. I don't know why. It looks like the orientation has been changed here, probably in Facebook, and why I can't follow comments. So I'm going to try something really quick. There's my bar so that I can go up and down. If I enlarge it, what are you doing to me, Facebook? I don't like it when I can't follow comments. This is not good. Well, since I can't follow comments for whatever reason, hold on here, 36 comments. Let's see what's going on here. Aha, it's just a little different. I'm going to lose my picture, but I think I can follow comments. I'm just going to have to get creative and be able to do two different things at the same time. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Holly. Oh, thank you for liking my shirt. Please share the inside saying of the card you received. Oh, sure, Joanne, I will do that. And Teresa, if you are watching still, could you share that also? Debbie, thank you for sharing. I hope it brings some more crafters over to my live. Okay, all right. I don't want to spend too much time being Gabby because this will probably take a little longer as I want to show you the cutting. And yeah, so I don't want to get into talking too much because this may take a little longer. So what I'm going to do real quick is I've got to make room for my trimmer. So I'm going to move the computer and bring in my trimmer. Bring in my pieces for the One Sheet Wonder. The rest of this stuff can sit right here until I need it. Oh, and I need my cheat sheets here so that I don't tell you the wrong thing. Oh, I'm so nervous about this. This is like my first, and you know, I don't think anybody's done this template before. If they have, I'm definitely not trying to steal their thunder. I just saw the design that I wanted, and it's how can we get the most out of some designer series paper that would make it fun and change up the options that we have for our scraps. So in the PDF, there's the cutting template, there's text, and then there's the card layout. So you know the two different layouts and where to put your pieces if you're one to label them, okay? So let's start out with, I have 4 6x6 pieces of the designer series paper. My paper trimmer will cut all 4 at the same time. I will go cut once with the blade and go back the other direction just to make sure, but I haven't had any problems so far. So the one thing I can say is if you have a directional paper, I thought it was going to be a problem, but what I found out is we're cutting the pieces small enough that you really are not, it's not going to be that noticeable if your directional fabric is going, or fabric, I mean if your designer series paper is going the opposite way of what you wanted. The pieces are pretty small, so it's really not that noticeable. But if it's something that you're really concerned about, then you might want to look at the orientation of your paper when you're cutting, or choose a paper that doesn't have a direction. Okay, but I didn't want to get real hung up and overthink all of that and give you more things to think about. So we're going to put our designer series paper in our trimmer, and I want to make sure on the computer that I am in. Okay, good. So the first cut is going to be 1.5 by 6. So I'm going to put my paper in, and I'm going to line the left side up with the 1.5 inch mark. Okay, Now, we're going to cut off 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So I'm just going to turn it 1/4 of a turn. And I'm going to use the 3/4 inch mark on the other side of my cutting blade. So I'm just going to put that on 3/4 of an inch. These little pieces are scrap. I'm sorry, you might be able to find some place to use them, but those are scrap. And so this is your A piece. Now, if you want to, you can follow along by putting your A pieces right down there so that we can fill up the template. You can do that if you want to. Really, none of these are so close inside that you can't tell the pieces apart for the layout that you're using, okay? So let's go back to our cutting instructions. I'm going to put my cheat sheet right here. Okay, so now we have a 4.5 by 6 inch stack of designer series paper. We're going to turn this into landscape mode. Okay, so give it 1/4 of a turn. I'm going counterclockwise. And we are going to put it at 3 3/4. Okay, and we are going to cut. I'm just going to set this piece aside. Now, while we still have okay, I got to look at my diagram again. So it's like this. While it's still at, and this might get where it was confusing in the text. It says turn. Let's just, I don't think we need to have that in there. While it's still in this mode, I'm going to use the opposite side of my trimmer again. If it's easier for you to cut on the left side of your trimmer, then you would just turn it around and go 1/4 inch here. But I love the Stampin' Up! Trimmer because we've got 1.5 inches on the other side that we can use. So I'm going to put this at 1/4 of an inch. Make sure everything is together. Hold it so it doesn't move around. And I'm going to take the 1/4 inch off. This is scrap. Okay? Now, we're going to turn this back to landscape. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to cut 4 of these strips at 3/4 of an inch. And then we need 1 at 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and do my 3/4 of an inch first. However it's comfortable for you to use your trimmer, go ahead and do that. I think this is probably the way most cut, so I'll try to go along with you on that. So I'll make sure I'm at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Whoops, I didn't have it held, did not hold it down there. It's probably easier to come down from the top than try to go up. So I need 3 or 4 of these at 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to start with my blade at the top and go down. That's a lot better. I think that's what made my paper slide on me. 3/4 of an inch. As my paper's getting shorter, it will be easier to work on this side of my blade. There's 3/4 of an inch, and now I need a 1 inch. So I think I'm just going to work on the opposite side here. Line that up with the 1 inch. Make sure I'm not going to cut any of my other pieces. There's my 1 inch, and this is scrap right here. Now these could probably fit inside your card somewhere or whatever, but they're scrap. So these are your B pieces. So if you want to put them on your template, as in with the B's, then it'll show you what we have left to cut from these 4 6x6 pieces. There's our 1 inch. Now, okay, where did you come from? Okay, so now you have, this is what's left of your 4 pieces of 6x6 designer series paper. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to turn this so it's landscape mode. Okay, your longest side is horizontal, and we're going to cut 6 of these at 3/4 of an inch. So 1, it really is a lot easier than maybe what the directions sound like. And I did include what the measurements were on the template, so that if you aren't using 6x6 paper, let's say you're using a bunch of your scraps, then you at least know how big to cut the pieces, okay? And then we've got just the last 2. And then here are our A pieces, and you can set those up there on your template. And you'll see that we've filled the template in, and we have our scrap pieces set aside. So there wasn't really that much scrap, but we needed more. I needed more paper because I'm still missing a couple of pieces. So that's where your 2 1/4 by 6 inch pieces come in. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is this is portrait mode going vertically. We're going to cut a 3/4 inch strip. So whatever way is easy for you to put in using your trimmer. I don't know what kind of trimmer everybody's got, but I'm going to put this at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. I'm going to set this just over to the side. Now, this strip right here, we are going to turn that 1/4 of a turn. We're going to cut one that's 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. So put it on your 2 1/4. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Okay, this here is an A piece. You can put that on your template. And now we're going to do a 3 1/2 inch cut. Now these pieces, these B pieces here are extras. I had a lot of this strip left over, but I want to have options in case when I am putting my strips down, if I want to change up patterns next to each other, but I've used up all my favorites, I still have more to choose from. So this cut here, which is 3 1/4 by 3 1/2, these B pieces are just extra options, okay? And you've got a little tiny piece of scrap left over. So put that on B. And then with this piece here, I needed to make my, I needed to get the top of my pattern here. So that's why I needed the extra pieces. I couldn't get everything out of the 6x6s. So here, I've got this piece, and what I do is I'm going to turn it into landscape mode, and I am going to cut this at 4 inches. Oops, sorry about that. 4 inches, everything's nice and tight against the edges of my trimmer, so all my paper's in place. I'm going to cut. This is scrap. Your cutting is all done now, okay? Was it easier to see it done? And you could then make notes of your own on the text part of it if you happen to have printed it out. But, so we've got our cutting done. I'm going to carefully bring in, I laid it all out, but it's kind of shifted. But when you're looking at your templates, you filled in the pieces, okay? So I am going to set this aside because if there's anybody new that's watching, I want to show you a couple tips on cutting your card bases. And I want to show you what you can get out of the extra that you have left over when you cut the 4 by 5 1/4 pieces that you're going to layer your designer series paper on. So let's do that first. So here I have an 8.5 by 11 sheet of Very Vanilla, and I need a 4 by 5 1/4 inch layer to put my designer series paper on. I also need that same size for the inside, inside of the card. So this sheet here is going to give us 4 of those. So if I cut at 4, I need another one at 4. This is leftover. And then I need to cut these at 5 1/4. There's never enough room on your cut in your workspace, is there? And these are extra. Let me show you what I did with those pieces. Let me find a card that I've actually got them on. Okay, here's one. So when let me bring in one that I have done as an example. So here I have glued down my pieces, right, to that layer. Let's say I don't like, maybe this is uneven or whatever. You can take this piece and you can cover up your edges if you don't like them. So you can use this piece to put a nice, really clean band across the top of your design and the bottom. I did some cards where I left this open because I actually, oh, that one has a band there. I just covered it up with ribbon. And this also creates an inlay if you would want to do something. But I don't want to overwhelm you with tons of options right away. I just wanted to show you that you can use these pieces that you cut off as an extra part of your card. Okay, that was the reason why I wanted to show you that. Now, if we get our cardstock, I used to cut my cardstock and then go back and handle it a second time to score. Okay, what I learned is you can get the scoring done with only scoring one time. So if I want a standard, your standard card that opens like this, okay? What you're going to do is those cards are 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. So if I go ahead and I score my sheet, 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, if I score that at 4 1/4, and then I cut it at 5.5, here's my 2 card bases, and I only had to score once. I didn't have to handle the cardstock and do that twice. Now, if I want to go the other way, that card base was 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. I'm going to score it at 5.5. And then I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4 because I want 4 1/4 by 11. And now I've got my other 2 card bases. This is the layout that I prefer because it stands up so much better than splaying like they want to do. They seem to, you know, you're going to crease them and help them do what they got to do. But I just wanted to show you those 2 things, okay? So let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get one of our, I'm going to show you how to do 2 of the patterns, and then you can go to town making the rest of them on your own, okay? So let's bring back in our pieces and the template that the layout that we're going to go by, okay? Let's get those out of the way. Get my glue ready. I'm using the liquid glue. You can use whatever adhesive you prefer. So let's do this template right here. We need a B piece. That was from our second cut, our second stack of Designer Series paper. And see what I mean? You're going to get 4 cards that are going to have a different band at the top. And you can choose what side of the paper you want to use. So I am going to now you may be asking why I just didn't put this on the front of my card base, because I have nothing that helps me with lines and keeping straight. But if I have this base underneath, I can line up my edges and I know I'm pretty straight, and that helps me keep the rest of my strips nice and straight. So I'm going to put that at the top, and then we need our long B pieces. We're going to have 2 3/4 inches, an inch, and then 2 3/4 inches. So your 1 inch is going to go in the middle, but I am working from left to right. So I'm going to look at those. I'm going to bring in, this is my 1 inch pieces. I'm going to bring those in, and I want my strips, I want them all to be different. So with this one, what I was keeping with is I knew that I wanted to keep my band and my center strip the same paper. So I know that that's going to go there. Now I got to decide what I might want to put. Might put that one there. You just got all of these choices. I want to bring that Flirty Flamingo out, but I might put it there. So this part here, you're just playing with, and I love that black, but 2 dark colors next to each other. I think I'm going to go like this. So you've got all these choices, and remember you had 4 extra ones that you could choose. So I'm just going to slide those out of the way, and I'm going to line this up in this bottom left-hand corner. I've got the side of my cardstock and the bottom to help keep me straight. And then you're just laying down. Oh, my belly, did you hear that? And now you're just putting down the rest of your strips, using the one before as your guide. I like the liquid glue because I can move my pieces around if they happen to slide on me or I need it to slide. If you have anything that hangs over the bottom, then you can just go in with your scissors or your snips and trim the ends off. And by your cutting, if anything gets really wonky, then that's where those extra pieces of your insert would be good, because you can cover up whatever you don't like right there. Give it a nice clean finish. And one more. If you notice that you got a little bit of white showing or whatever you chose for your card base, you could also always trim off just a little bit, but it's really not going to make that much of a difference. So there is the first layout. Okay, at this point, what I would do, if you want to emboss, create your quilting, so to speak, now would be a time to do that. Several of these cards I did not. Now this is that greenery die, but I did do one with an embossing folder right here. You can't really see it that well. I think because I chose patterns, there's already a lot going on, but you can see that it was embossed. So now would be the time to do your embossing. Okay, let's set this aside and let's do the other one. So now this one, you can glue it down in landscape or portrait, whatever is more familiar to your hands. I've made a mess over here of what we just used. Oh my goodness. Okay, so for this one, we need that long A part. Okay, I'm just gonna shift that one to the bottom, and let's use the black on top. I really like this black and very vanilla, very bold, really pops and makes things stand out. So let's go ahead and put that down. Like I said, if it's easier to turn your cardstock so that you can get things lined up, then do what comes naturally to your hands. So there's that. And now we're going to do our strips that are going this way. So those are all those little A pieces. And what you can do is just like take one from each stack, if you haven't created a mess like I did over here. Just take one from each stack and just look at the placement, flip them over and see if there's anything else that you like. I think maybe we'll just go ahead and put that one in. And then this way, if you go from stack to stack, then you know that you're using all the patterns here. And remember, you've got extras on the back if you want to change something up. I think I'll bring in the yellow. Just flip that black over. Let's bring that black in now. Maybe go back to the green. Oh, let's turn the green over and use the hearts. And I had another stack down here on my second piece that we cut. I want something a little bit bold to go on that side. I think I need a floral again. Let's just bring in that daisy there. Okay, so then you're just gonna, again, work from left to right and glue your pieces down. Using those two edges to get you going so that you're straight. Now, if you end up with a piece that's cut a little bit bigger than 3/4 of an inch, because you know that in your cutting, it depends on where you had placed it on the trimmer. If you're putting it in the exact same place every time, then you're going to be pretty even. But sometimes it goes over just a little bit, and it's just like in quilting. You can be a smidge off of that 1/4 inch seam allowance. You multiply that by, let's say, 6 pieces of fabric. Now your seam allowance, your piece is either going to be too big or it's going to be too small. But it's paper. We don't have to rip anything out. And we can always just put something right on top of the one before it. Nobody's going to be the wiser that whoever gets your card is not going to take out their ruler and measure if your pieces are exactly the same. So, a lot more forgiving than quilting. I think I wanted... I slid these and now I'm not sure which direction they go in, but it's okay. They're scrappy. And I'm not going to get hung up too much on direction because we're going to be putting a sentiment on these. You're going to be, maybe you're going to put some embellishments on. You know what I might do? What if I put that there? Yeah, I'm going to put that. I think I wanted that black one in the middle. It kind of got mixed up there when I got them out of my way. I'm so busy creating that I haven't been looking at comments, so whatever I miss, I will go back after the live and answer any questions. Once you've got your layouts done, the rest is up to you as how you want to finish your cards off. Do you want to use ribbon? Do you want to stick with just more cardstock? It's all going to be up to you. See if I can move that one a little bit more. It's what I like about the liquid glue. I still had time to shift this one piece over a little bit because I was finding I was a little off. So there is the second design. Now, when you put these on your card bases, you can keep it like this. You can turn it like that. You can keep this like this. You can turn it like that. You can turn it like this. You have so many options on how to finish off the layout. But these are your two layouts. Your orientation on your card will be up to you. But like I said with this card, at this point here, if you're going to do any embossing, go ahead and do that now before putting your card together. Okay, so I have a couple bases here that I have already used the greenery die on. I'm going to get all of my pieces. I just need to get all of this out of the way because I want to show you something. Another tip to getting the most out of your paper, okay? So I am going to bring in a card base that we had cut. I've got two patterns here, this one and this one. I've got my two inserts, okay? And you're going to notice that I stamped my sentiments and then I used punches. It's so quick and easy to use punches for your sentiments. This is the everyday label, and then this is the tailored tag. It's got like the diamond. These make it so easy. So what I did was I stamped two sentiments, okay, and I punched them out. Now what you'll notice is I have a black border around the sides of my punched very vanilla. So I took the same punch that I punched my sentiment with. And here's what I want to show you. Oh, I know. I got a backing piece. This is a backing piece that is 4 by 5¼ inches. Here's my card. Okay. Let's give that a good crease. Where's my bone folder? Let's get these out of the way for a second. Give that a good crease. Now, this layer is going on the inside. And I've got a layer that I like to put on the backs of my cards. Because let's face it, when we're making quilt cards, we're not using up our designer series paper fast enough. We don't use pieces big enough to really get rid of it. So let's make the back as pretty as the front of our card. See all this space that's going to get covered up between these two layers? Well, let's make a background for the everyday label punch. I'm going to come in and I'm going to punch. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm not getting, I'm not going to punch into my little border that I'm going to leave around. But if I put this all the way in and leave, I'm going to punch that out. And I've got one. I could do both of these right now. This would be my other one, but I'll save it for the other inside. What I just wanted to show you is this is going to get covered up. So if you want to save cardstock, instead of bringing out a whole new sheet of black just for that little punch it out of wherever is going to get covered up. You see how I did that? You're not even going to see it. And now I have my piece that I need to go with that there. Okay, just a little tidbit there, okay? So now I'm getting a bunch of stuff in front of me that is going to make me feel very unorganized. What I'm going to do with this is I am going to cut it in half. Now, where did my snips go? I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to be extending my label. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this to the back, and I am making my label bigger. So I'll just put a little glue here along the edge. And you can make this background piece as bold or as thin as you want just by moving it. Just make sure that your edges align. Look at that pretty silhouette right there. And then you're going to do the same to the other end. Just make sure it's all lined up really nice. Need it a little thinner. Okay, so now I just extended the length of my label punch. And I can do that with the tailored tag punch too, which, oh my Lord. Oh, here it is. So with my other card base that I haven't done yet, I'm going to go ahead and punch out the tailored tag from wherever, because I'm going to be putting a back on that. And I'm going to cut up this way. I'm going to cut it in half this way. Then I'm going to put some glue just along where this black cardstock's going to go. It's making this very plain label. It's giving it a pop of color and really helping it stand out. And it's going to stand out then on top of your designer series paper because you've got this really pretty border that goes around it. You just want to make sure that your ends are, see how it gives it a really nice border. And then when you put it on your card, see how this black pops against this very light background, and it helps that label stand out. Okay? Okay. So those were some tidbits that I wanted to show you. And now let's put a card together really quick. I've got some bases already done because I knew this was going to take a little bit of time. So I didn't know we're already at an hour, so we're going to go over a little bit. So I tried to get some of the process done ahead of time. So I've got my back and the center done. I've got my piece embossed. If that's what you wanted to do, you don't have to. Now what my options are is just running a piece of ribbon around here, or I could clean up that middle and put this down first and then run some ribbon around it. I think I'm going to do that because I want to help. I want to show you how to use up these strips that are so tiny, and they accumulate so fast because every time you make an insert for your card, you have these left over. So I'm going to trim this off at 5.5 because I know that's how long. No, 5.25 because my piece is 4 by 5.25. So I'm going to trim off part of that long strip. And I am just going to go ahead and glue this down and just kind of hide all the edges. Just clean it up. Just make sure it's straight. If you're like me, my straight is always still wonky. It's just the way it goes. I could use my grid paper here and make sure that I'm kind of straight. Okay, so I've cleaned up all my edges now by putting that piece across there. And then, oh, one more thing I wanted to show you that, excuse me, this happens every live. I want to show you a trick with the blends. I love this black and white ribbon. I love, 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 love it. This is the light Flirty Flamingo alcohol, the blends, Stampin' Blends. You can color so many things with these blends and customize your accessories. So if I just go across, now my white is Flirty Flamingo, which is what the color that I want to bring out. And I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to go over it just one more time. All I'm going to do is knot this. I'm not going to tie a bow. So I'm just going to customize my ribbon here. You know, for the longest time, I didn't play with the blends or even order them because I thought they were just for like coloring your stamped images. And there was, you know, it all came down to prioritizing where I was going to spend my money. Do I want cardstock? Do I want designer series paper? I mean, because face it, I don't have enough money to have it all. I don't think any of us do. So I had to prioritize where my money was going. So the blends were kind of like at the end of my wish list until I found out. Until I played, I got a couple. Look at this. Not only did I change my ribbon to Flirty Flamingo, but like if you take the rhinestones, now this is the light Flirty Flamingo, so it's not going to be super dark. But you can change the color of your rhinestones from clear to whatever color you're using. You can do the pearls. You can color your pearls and make them whatever color you need with the blends that you have. So isn't that amazing? I don't do a lot of coloring per se with stamps, but if I need a certain color to finish off a project, I can use the blends and customize my ribbon. I can customize my rhinestones, my pearls. Okay, so let's cut this. And this was the Flirty Flamingo light. And I am just going to bring this around and I am just going to knot this. I'm not going to even, I'm going to have to knot it because I didn't leave enough room for a bow. Whoa, we're going to be lucky to even get a knot out of this. But we're going to try. It's a little knot. It's little, but it'll work. It's a little loose. So what I like to do is just snip it and then bring in some Scotch tape. Where's my Scotch tape? Whoops. And just put it back together. Okay, so now now it's nice and tight. And there's my bow. And then I can bring in my card base. I'm going to glue that. Okay, so let's just put this down. And then I am going to pop up, let's see, which, this goes too close to my bow. So I'm going to put my sentiment there, and I'm going to use some black dimensionals. And I'm just going to pop that up. Okay. And I chose black just because sometimes when you can see the white, you know that it's popped up. And I kind of got this whole black background and stuff going on. So now I'll just make sure that's straight. And then what I can do is I can come in, you know, either with the embellishments that I had colored with the Flirty Flamingo, or they're kind of going to blend in, but I could put them, we're just going to put all three of them right on our label. The eye likes odd numbers when you're looking at something, so we're just going to put and in a triangle, just something our eye likes. So there I just gave it a little bit of an embellishment. I have my bow. I could have put my knot over here or anywhere, but I just stuck it in the middle for something different. And so there is one of the 8 cards that you'll be able to get out of your 6x6 Designer Series paper. So I hope you liked today's demonstration. It did go a little longer because there was so many things that I wanted to show you. Definitely wanted to walk you through the cutting instructions, and I hope that made it make more sense. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I will go back through the comments here after lunch, and I would like you to share some of your cards over in the Quilt Cards and More group. Next Wednesday, everyone who participated in sharing their photos, I put your name on a wheel, I spin it, and if your name is chosen, then your card becomes the banner for the card group for a week. So that's all I got, you guys. I'm sorry I ran over a little bit, but there was so much that I wanted to share with you. Yeah, I can't think of anything else, so I'll let you go on with your day. Have a very blessed day, and I'll visit with everybody next week.